Welcome to Circle Podcast, brought to you by Circle Sanctuary, one of the oldest nature spirituality churches in the United States, connecting people of nature-centered paths around the world. Join us throughout the week for a variety of shows discussing various topics, celebrating the divine in all of its forms through nature worship, rituals, education, and building bridges of community. Welcome to Urban Unwitches, a podcast to educate, inform, and expand the pagan community. Please join our Discord channel, Urban Unwitches Podcast. Follow us on TikTok at Urban Unwitches, and listen to all our past podcasts on your favorite podcasting platform. You can also join us on YouTube at Urban Unwitches. Now, back to the show.
Okay, so explain to me slowly and in red crayon, because it's early and I'm a little slow, how you have missed that heated rivalry is a thing. What rock, how big is this rock that you have lived under?
It's a big rock, and I hide under it very, very, very well, and I've not heard of heated rivalry, but I have looked up the pictures, and oh my.
Seriously, they were torturers at the
it.
Olympics. Jesus,
I didn't know that.
You missed it taking over the internet. Literally, I did not have a TikTok feed except for ours or a Twitter feed that did not have those two, and that was it. That was everything. And Francis Arnault and Kip. Oh my God. See, you look at them, you see those two, and they're like, wow, they're so hot. No. They're not the only closeted couple in the NHL in this universe. No, there's another equally hot that has Francis Arnault, who I would literally like burn buildings down for. And then I forget the other guy's name, but he's maybe one of the most beautiful
saw a
human
picture
beings.
of them too, and I was confused about who that was.
Yeah, they're secondary characters that for 2 episodes take over your heart. Like they just move into your heart and they just take it over. Like I cannot, I don't know how I'm going to live until season 2 comes out. And the one who plays Shane, like legitimately, this was like a little indie Canadian thing production that because they tried to change it too much in the US, so they went to Canada. He thought he was going to go back to waiting tables after this. I'm like, nah, princess, you now rule the world. Like they were mentioned by the mayor of New York, Mom Donnie, there we go. I knew it started with an M.
Right.
He was like, yeah, as New York braces for this horrible cold, just tune in, watch Heated Rivalry with a heated blanket or something like that. Like he actually mentioned Heated Rivalry in one of his speeches, and every single person in the audience knew what he was talking about because they're not Dia and they don't live under a rock.
Okay, so I do live under a rock. I live under a LARP rock.
Oh, a LARP rock. That means it's a rock and it speaks Klingon.
Well, I do understand Klingon. That's so sad.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh, it's too early. You're gonna have my ugly laugh face on here, and that's not good because I look like one of those like bobby head monster things from the 80s. It's not gonna be good.
Oh my goodness. So yes, I will have to watch. This is definitely on the list now. I need to watch this. For sure. They're hot. And so is the other two. They're hot too.
I'm gonna get a text at 11 o'clock. It's like, Tyler, I can't sleep. I'm thinking about them and they won't leave my brain.
Oh, they are hot. I will have to look it up.
Muy caliente el hockey special.
And so here's the sad thing. What have I been doing? I've been crocheting. Such a nerd. Not even in front of the TV have I been crocheting.
Honey, don't judge yourself. We love you just the way you are. You're vibrant and beautiful and special. And gosh darn it, people like you.
Oh my goodness. So in other news that dates me, I went to a Heart concert last night.
You went to Heart?
Yes.
You didn't tell me you were going to Heart. I'd have flown out, girl. I don't care if it dates you. It's Heart.
It's Heart, man. It really was good. Oh. And Tony, my husband is an audiovisual electrical acoustical engineer. What that means is he likes sound is what it means. And so what it means is when you go to a concert, you have to pray to all that is holy,
that the sound is good. Because if it is not, Tony is likely to go down to the sound booth and bother the sound man to fix the sound because it bothers him that much. This sound, he turned halfway through and went, this sound is perfect. He got out he got out his phone to check the decibels of this concert and was like, the decibels are perfect. I don't know how they did this. This is perfect. So not only was it good, I didn't have to sit through an hour and a half of him complaining about the sound.
If you guys had the blessing of knowing the Tony man, he's a light, he's precious. We have to protect him because there's only one Tony. Like when this Tony flips the script and he's not with us anymore, the world will be down one shining golden Tony because he is like there's an award named after him. That's all I'm saying. Like, he's the Tony.
To be fair, Tony does have a magical ear. And one time we were at a concert. No, it's true. We were at this concert and even I knew the sound was bad. That's how bad the sound was. Like I knew, and that's something. So Tony leans over and goes, I'm going to the restroom. And I went, okay. And so I'm watching the badness on the stage, and then it starts clearing up and the feedback stops, and then it gets better and better. And suddenly you can understand that the singer actually has a voice and it's good. Mm-hmm. And someone leaned over and goes, did the sound change? And I said, I haven't looked, but I bet you even money my husband is in the sound booth. And they went, nuh-uh. And I went, okay, we're all going to look on 3. 1, 2, 3. And Tony's going, hey! That's my man.
As Faye Dunaway said in the 90s movie Dunstan Checks In about the orangutan in the 5-star hotel, I like obsessive people. They get things done.
Well, he got that done, man. And he really not only did he can make anybody sound good. He does have a gift, and I've seen him perform this gift over and over and over again when he commissions big sound systems, and I have been told by other people he really does have a gift for allowing and making these electronic things work in such a way that it's beautiful. So I give him a lot of crap, but he is a legend, not in his own mind. There are people who go, your husband's Tony Crabtree? Yeah. In the right circles, I'm the wife.
And the best part about Tony is I've never actually seen him. I'm not going to say I've never seen him act arrogant because he is a southern white boy, but he's got that Gantz on him, but it's not I don't think it's about his like professional reputation. I've never seen him like flex I'm the Tony, and that's I really love that. Like I love really competent, talented people who for them it's a Tuesday because this is just how their world works. I love that energy, and like I've been really fortunate to surround myself with people like you're like that. You don't actually realize half of what you do, and I love it. It's like you are intimidatingly competent, and you make me feel like I slack in all things, and like everybody else around me is like, how do you do as much as you do? I'm like, because I'm not Dia. I'm reaching for the stars and I'm landing on the moon, but I'm not there. Watching you take a compliment is like watching someone take a tax audit. It's adorable. She doesn't know what to do. She's floundering around. It's wonderful. Oh my God. Why are we here today, Dia? You got me up early.
We're here for divination. I got you. We did a general divination discussion last time, and this time we're going to talk about 2 of my favorite divinatory systems that don't get a lot of play. Quite frankly. And so I hope to expose people to them today. One is the Ogam and one is Geomancy. And these are my kind of favorite. The caveat is I don't know a ton about these 2 things. I try really hard and I study every day, but I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. However, I know enough to tell you about them. So,
There's that humility. Like, seriously, Dia, you've been doing astrology and horary astrology for like a decade. All right. Like,
no, but
I know geomancy. You know geomancy. Like I learned it in my tradition. I am facile with it. I can use it if I need to. Every time we talk, I learn something from you. So just a touch of credit. We're just gonna put a half gram of credit where it's due. Now I know nothing about the OAM. You may know absolutely nothing about it, and I would not be able to tell the difference. You want to talk about the runes? Let's do runes one day, and then I'll have an opinion. I know nothing about the OAM, so I'm excited to hear what we talk about today.
cool. Um, so the OM I'd like to do first because if I start talking about geomancy, this whole thing will be about geomancy. So I do want to touch on the OM first. The OM is often called the Celtic runes, and they look something like this. If you can see, I'm holding up a Celtic rune called a feed,
Mhm.
and there are 25 of these. Some people say 20, some people say 25. There are 25 extra, there are five extras that we're not sure about. And the reason we're not sure about them is because there's not a lot of written resources for this divinatory system because this comes from the Druids, and the Druids were an oral tradition, as we've said many times before. And so there's just not a lot. There are
Mhm.
pieces of old manuscripts that we have. And if you want a good book, the book I would call Weaving Wise Words by Laurie, Laurie, is a really great book. She actually went back and studied each of the manuscripts available for the actual words, because what the OM is really about is the sound. And that's where I fall down, because if you know me, you know I can't pronounce crap. So then you get into Old Irish and trying to pronounce Old Irish, and you've got problems for
Ooh,
me.
ooh,
But
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it the there are five, there are four forfetas, meaning extra letters, the forfetas. That were five of those, and they were added much later. And they also deal in sounds in the Gaelic language, but they don't have any symmetry or form like the others do. The others, if you know the Irish language, you understand it's kind of poetic. It has a meter and a cadence to it, and so do the feed that provide the oem its basis. So that's one of the things that I can say. The other thing I
Mhm.
could say is that you can make the ones I have two sets, and this is my U, the tree, U tree um set, and then I actually have one on bone. That's a forfeta. That's a bad example. Let me throw that down. There's another
Wait,
forfeta. Let me see how
that
many.
was
No, this
that
is
was
a
Othala.
rune. These
Yeah, I
are
was about to say that's
runes.
Othala.
Oh, I thought these were Ogham, and they're not. They're actually runes. You're right. I have,
I
okay,
was like,
so never mind.
I know that one.
You know that
Um,
one.
yeah, I was like, I know that one. Now we're in familiar territory. And can I jump in real quick just to
Sure.
give some folks some context about like where OAM and the more the culture that created it came from. So if you are somebody who's interested in Celtic studies, if you are someone who loves Celtic mysticism, spiritualism, maybe you love the ADF, Enriach Fane, Druidry, Obod, all of that. One of the things that you are going to discover very quickly, if you start researching OAM, there's a whole group of people online who say OAM is made up. It's all Reconstructionist. I have some serious issues with this stance
Yep.
because technically all language is made up. All sounds that are not just coming from our mouths are made up. Everything is a symbol. That so it's all made up has absolutely no validity as an argument because that's true of literally everything. It's so true it has no value. The thing you have to understand about the Celts, and specifically like when we think about the Celts or the Celtic people and Celtic languages, we're thinking about Ireland, Scotland, Wales, like the last place the Celts lived before the after the Romans like broke their military force in Europe. Most people don't even know that. Whenever you watch the movie Gladiator, the Gallic Wars that they were fighting, the wars that Julius Caesar was fighting before he came back to Rome, those were Gallic Celts. So the Celts at one point or another were literally all over Europe. Like they were
Right.
everywhere. They were
Yep.
they were unique in ancient cultures because they did not have a national identity. They weren't like, oh, we're
Right.
Celts and have a national anthem. They would go and move into an area, take over it. They would install a couple of their gods, leave most of the culture in place, and that's
Mhm.
the only reason we know anything about them is because
Right.
they were so far and wide that the Greeks and the Romans wrote things about them, and that's how we have the names of their gods. There is almost nothing of the original Celts left in the six Celtic nations,
Right.
except linguistic children and the cultural component. And this is the thing. There's theories about this, and I find this to be one of the most interesting factoidal stories. The druids were wiped out, but there were students, there were druidic collegiums where they would go and they would study for decades to gain the knowledge that they had because it was all oral. Their knowledge was passed down much like the southern storytelling tradition, orally. Where did all those students go? It is believed that the remnants of the druidic knowledge found their way somehow into like one of the last remaining collegiums, and then that turned into a bardic tradition. And so if you know anything about Irish history,
Right.
the bards were the ones who held that. And in the UK, in Ireland, kings did not have the power of bards. They were the ones who could eviscerate you in fiction, as a Chaucer character once said.
Ooh.
Very, very, oh yeah, very, very powerful people. You always offered guest right to a bard. You never turned them away because it was dangerous to do so. They could affect your rule if that happened. So there is so much lore in the Irish bardic tradition, and much of which of that has now been written down. So that is where things like Anriach Fane, that is or ADF, that is where modern druidry comes from, and it is out of that knowledge that through UPG and then group Gnosis, they have been able to build on this knowledge. And at the end of the day, they're symbols. So if you know the root core, you can build on
Right.
that. And so I just wanted to toss that out there because there's a lot of misunderstanding about the Celts, and it's one of my little passion areas, which is surprising. I don't know anything about the Ogham. Like I know everything about
Well,
the
I think
culture
it
that made it.
for me personally, I because the OM are also associated with trees, not just trees, plants. Let us say, not just trees, but um, for a long time that was all that was given, and so the meaning was tied to a tree, and the tree OM is it's one interpretation of the OM, right? There is other interpretations that have to do with the language that it's not just the trees. And it took me years to find a book that I read and went, okay, I believe this. This I can get down with. And it's Weaving Wise Words by Lori. It's a great book. I fangirl over her knowledge, and she admits that some of her knowledge comes from personal gnosis, doing meditations with these, which is, I think, probably the right way to go about this, right? Meditating on these, meditating on the idea of them. So I love the OM, but it is something that um, I'm not I'm not as proficient as I would like. And a lot of that has to do with my brain damage from B12 because I can't remember, because they look so much alike, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
all they are slash marks. And so because they look so much alike, I have a horrible time actually remembering which feed is which feed. I just can't. And
Right.
so it makes it really hard.
And for those who are listening and don't see this on YouTube, you should check us out on YouTube because we're much funnier when you can see the ridiculous faces we make. But the and we're all over TikTok, but I don't know nothing about no TikTok. Dia does all that. She keeps me safe from the social medias. Um when you are looking at the OM are like a straight line with little smaller lines coming out either at a right angle or a 45-degree angle, and then sometimes bisecting that line. So it looks very much almost like tally marks, like check marks. And sometimes it's a very long line with a lot of check marks, and you're like, what am I looking at? That's the OM for those who can't actually see the things she's holding up.
Yeah, the OM scholars believe that the system derived from tally marks for counting to define positions in a series of sounds that are quite sophisticated in their ordering. This is from Lori's book. So it looks like tally marks, just done in different ways.
Hmm.
So it's hard, I think, sometimes to see those and translate that into a language because that's what it is. And
Hmm.
for some reason, and we're all exposed to the Nordic runes so much, right? Like it's
Hmm.
so common in Dungeons and Dragons and in places like that. And they use the runes a lot. And so we're all exposed to them. So it makes more sense in our brain than the OM does. The OM can come across completely strange, but that's okay. Um,
Hmm.
Lori gives the feeds three word meaning lists, and they're based off of the letter names themselves because, like, we have A. What does A mean? Right? Like, think about it this way: the feed is sail. That's the name of the letter, sail, SAIL, sail. And sail has a meaning that is many words. We don't do that for our language. A means A. It doesn't
Hmm.
have any other association to it, unless we say A is for apple, for example. In the sale, we would say sale is for whatever it's for. So there are three places that these come from, and Lori covers all three of them. One of them is that tree herb place, but the other two are not trees and herbs, and they're just as important as the tree herb list. So you should look into that. And you can make these with popsicle sticks. I don't have any with me, but if you take popsicle sticks and just draw the lines and the slashes on them, then you can have a little popsicle. You throw the popsicle sticks and read the ones on top and then read it from there. That's a good way to do it. Or you can find a good pagan maker of ogham and get them in a tree that is you know I didn't have it set for a long time until I came across this U set. And then it would not have mattered how much she charged. I would have paid for it. So um, it was the tree that did it for me. So that's the OM. That's about all I have to say about it. Weaving Wise Words of Wisdom by Aaron Rowan Laurie is my recommendation. If you're interested, it is, in my opinion, the best book that there is out there on it.
I was actually having a conversation years ago, God, don't ask me how many, with a friend of mine, and we were talking about the OM. Neither one of us knew very much about it. And I wonder, like in my head, if Tolkien, like J.R.R. Tolkien, had been knowledgeable about the OM and had
Mm,
put them in next to like his
yep,
variant of the Norse runes for like the Dwarven language, if would they have become much more popular? And they
right.
probably would have, because like,
Yeah,
I mean, everything from Tolkien translated into video games and other books and movies and shows and all that.
right,
And I think it really did help the Norse runes become much more recognizable.
right.
Um,
And
Most of what they use in, yeah,
more
yeah. And
researched. And I think that's part of the,
most,
sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I was
You
going
go
to talk
ahead.
about movies. Oh, uh, for those of us who are familiar, don't try to read the runes in the Lord of the Rings movies. It makes your head hurt.
Yeah, they didn't do a good job with that.
Yeah. Well, it's
Um,
also he made up like his own version. Like he was a linguist, so
right.
he got to play
Yeah.
with them, and he may not have at the time. I don't know that there was the scholarly investment in Oam that came later because he was a very traditional. Like I mean, he grew up during the Victorian era, and he
Right.
didn't publish until the 30s. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's my take on the OM. Anything else for you on the OM?
Not on the Oam. Like I said, I don't know very much about it. It's one of those areas that I keep meaning to get to, and that's the thing with occult studies, like with the craft. There are so many different areas. I have
Oh
been
yeah.
doing this for the better part of 30 years now, and there are still areas I'm like, I keep meaning to get to that, and I keep getting distracted by other fun, shiny things to learn, and the journey never ends. But I'm much more knowledgeable about the geomancy, and
Yep.
here's the fun thing for people who know jack and or about astrology or geomancy. Read a book on it.
Hmm.
Read just about any book on geomancy. Then go watch Harry Potter.
Yep.
The reason being, and regardless of how problematic she's very problematic. The author
Oh yeah.
is very problematic. The When you get down into the study of the occult, the number of Easter eggs in that series far outnumbers um, any other series that I've ever come across, and
Yep.
that's like Albus, Rubeus, like the
Right.
symbolism. Even Harry's scar is a rune. So like there's so much in there. Like there was so much research done for the symbolism in there that like even now I've watched the movies multiple times. I still pick up on little things that they've seed planted in there. Um but like if you have studied geomancy, you're going to understand Albus Dumbledore differently. You're going to understand Hagrid differently. You're going to see why those are the archetypes that were used. And these are things throughout popular culture. Like these
Right.
divinatory systems, some of them are very old. Like I didn't watch Doctor Who for the first time until I was much older. My
Hmm.
childhood was lacking because I didn't know the glory of the doctor. But trust me, I'm a doctor, or trust me, I'm the doctor was a shirt I saw all over the place when I was a kid. I never
Right.
got it, and it was Doctor Who. So it's one of those pop culture things that not everybody knows where it comes from. And
Right.
once you know more about it, your life is a giant Easter egg. And maybe that's just exciting for me because I'm simple, but
No, I think it's true. I mean, I always start any talk with geomancy about Albus and Rubeus because
Mhm.
there are 16 figures in the geomancy, and they're partnered together. So there's opposites that are together, and Albus and Rubeus are a partnered pair in geomancy. And when you study Albus and Rubeus in the books, you were actually studying the archetype of Albus and Rubeus in the geomancy. And
Mhm.
it's a really, especially in the books, is really accurate. Everything Rubeus does is tinged with not good, even though he means it to be good. And
Right, 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 right.
it's and his impulse control is nada, where Albus's impulse control is,
Mhm.
legendary. So I just think that there's a lot there that makes it interesting, and that is always what I cover first. I started studying the geomancy. I was actually looking at this in 2008. Oh, I'm so old. In
Mm.
2008, I went to PantheaCon, and Vicky Solomon had a workshop on geomancy. I'd never heard of it. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go and do this thing. And it was very complicated because it's, again, like learning a language you've never heard. But I was grabbed by the throat. And then at that same uh, place, I bought a handbook from John Michael Greer
Mhm.
that he had self-published and later was published by lulu.com. And then I started studying on my own. And then I met these people. I don't know. One of them was named Kyler, and they
Mm.
had,
Sounds like
I know,
trouble, just pure
it,
trouble.
it was
Mm.
total trouble. I had mentioned geomancy in passing. They were like, "Oh yeah, we know geomancy." And I'm like, "What? You know geomancy?" And they had a book on geomancy they let me transcribe because it was no longer secret knowledge, because it was out there on the internet. And so I transcribed that book. And then later on, I found the Digital Ambler, and I will highly recommend the Digital Ambler. He has taken geomancy and really made it into everyday language, and brought it out of the Renaissance period where it had its heyday, and really re 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 recouched it for a modern audience. So, and all of his stuff is free. It's on the internet. Just go to thedigitalambler.com and you can read his whole geomancy groupings of things. I made an entire kind of book out of all of his articles. So I would highly recommend the Digital Ambler. He's really great. But geomancy means earth divination. And the reason it means earth divination is because originally the story goes that Muhammad was looking for information about sacred languages, and he's visited by an angel. And the angel draws the figures in the sand. So another word for geomancy is sand divination. And he does this and gives the information about what each thing means. And it gave a way for Muhammad to make a living doing divination, right? So that's one of the stories. There are several other stories that are very similar in context. It has to do with angels. It has to do with Allah. And so this is something that comes out of it. Looks on the first glance, it looks like it comes from the Arabic lands. I have done some research. I believe it comes out of the Fertile Crescent, which is in Africa. And I think what happened is geomancy goes down to the African continent and changes and becomes the divinatory system for Ifa, the African religion. It becomes Ifa, the divinatory system for the African religions. And then it goes up into the Arab lands and becomes geomancy. So I think there's a split here that happens, and I think that that's often overlooked for reasons of race. You know what I mean? The Arab people were known for their scholarship and stuff like that, and I think it was just easy. I think it's just easier to ascribe that to them. That is my personal theory. I have a whole class on it if you ever want to know why I think this. But I've done a whole class and presented it before on why I think it's Fertile Crescent and then to the Arab lands and then also into Africa and it comes out as a different form, which explains why the divinatory system, and I want to say Ifa is the name of the religion.
So just to toss in there real quick, the Fertile Crescent is in the Near East. It's not in Africa.
Right. But it starts there and it goes down.
Goes down and then goes back up. Gotcha.
Then goes back up.
Okay, sorry. I had misunderstood. I was like, wait a minute, is the Fertile Crescent in Africa? Like that, my brain transposed it, and I'm like, I have taught classes on this. Have I been saying this wrong all these years? I had to go double check. I live in mortal terror that I say something really dumb in a class and then it comes back to bite me later because the internet doesn't forget, y'all.
I have a map that better shows this that I did for this class, but I do think that it is no small feat that the divinatory system for Ifa is so similar to geomancy. And this is something the Digital Ambler actually talks about in great length because he has studied both. And so he was the first one to point out to me these similarities. And in paper, the first time I realized the similarities was when I was talking to a shaman of the Ifa religion. I don't know that they call it a shaman. I called him a shaman. And I was trying to encourage him to take a student of mine who was interested in the African religions. And he said, well, hang on, let me do some sand divination. And I went, what? You're going to do what? And so I could hear him scratching in sand. And so clearly he had the box and the stylus that you use to create this sand divination. And I was like, you're talking about geomancy. And he was like, no, it's Aoife. And I'm no, it's geomancy. And then he started listing some of the things, and I was like, that just really sounds like geomancy. Why does it sound like geomancy? And then years later, I came across a digital ambler who was like, da-da, and I was like, I was right. I knew it. I knew it was geomancy in some form. So yeah, so that's kind of where it comes from. Let me see if there are lots of mythical origins, but all of it, is about, one is about Daniel or Enoch getting it. So different prophets have been credited with getting this particular divinatory system. So, but one of the reasons I like geomancy is because it's fun math. And the reason it's fun math is because geomancy is a series of 4 lines with 2 dots or 1 dot on them. So it looks something like this with these 4 dots lined up, or it looks something like this, where there's a dot, 2 dots, a dot, 2 dots. So that makes that a missio. So I like that because it means that you can use dice to do this. Now, the lines are ascribed to the 4 directions. So you have Earth, which would be your 6-sided dice. You have, let me see if I get this right. I'm always worried I'm going to get this wrong. This one is fire, which is which sided dice is that? The diamond.
That's a D8.
D8. That's fire. And then I think water is considered the D10, or is that a D10? What is this one?
That's a D10. Yeah, sorry.
The D10, and then the D20 I use as no, the triangle I use as air. Okay, so you can take these and roll them, and then you do it. Odd numbers are 1 dot, even numbers are 2 dots, and then you line them up in the way that they go, and they go this way. The bottom one is earth, the next one is water, the next one is air, and the top one is fire. So you just line your little things up. Or if you're a massive nerd, you go out and you find somebody on Etsy who makes dice, and you have them put 1 dot on one side and 2 dots on the other side, and you make them in the colors of the quarters. That's what I'm holding up. And then you roll those, and when you put them together, you have the actual figure that, oh, and this is a good figure too. You have an actual figure that you can then see. And this figure is, well, this figure would be populous. That figure is another figure. I actually wanted to show this figure, which is per boy. So that's, if you're a massive geek, then you can do it that way. Or you can have someone really nice make these wonderful little cheat cards out of wood, and then you can use those and just pull a figure. And like I said, the figures are polarity, right? There's boy and girl, there's per and puella, there's the way, via, and people, populace. There's the tail of the dragon and the head of the dragon, Cata Draconis and Caput Draconis. There's Fortuna Minor and Fortuna Major. You get it. Emissio, which is loss, and Acquisitio, which is gain. You have Carcer, which is the prison, and it's associated with, Carcer and there's Letitia, Joy, and Tristitia, which is sorrow, and Carcer is prison, and it's often conjunctio. That's right,
Mm-hmm.
coming together. Conjunctio means coming together. Prison means keeping apart. And then Albus and Rubeus, as we've talked about before, and that's the I think I've named them all. They're
Mm-hmm.
only 16. Now, what
Yep.
makes this different is that you put these into what's called a geomantic shield. And this shield has a very specific layout and design. And then you can put it in an astrological shield, but it's associated with horary astrology. So let's talk about astrology for a minute. There's modern astrology that's based largely off of psychology and the perception of the person. So sun signs and things like that are very important in modern astrology. There's horary or predictive or Renaissance astrology, and it has to do with the timing of the question in querient. So they say, we ask when will things get back to normal? The moment that is understood by the person who's divining it, by the astrologer, then you chart that particular heavens, and in that heavens in that moment is the answer to the question. So it's question based versus being person based. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's also a very big distinction that I like to point out about the view of people's astrological information. They do birth charts, especially when they're talking about children, but it is a
Mm-hmm.
suggestion of how the child might become. It is not an assumption that they will be that way. Your astrological chart is what you must rise above. It is not the defining thing about you, right? You know the bad stuff, and so you're supposed to overcome that. So this means that if you ever come up to me and go, I'm a Gemini, and so I just am that way
Mm.
sometimes, you're going to see me roll my eyes at you because you're supposed to overcome those things, not embrace them and make it a good reason why it is. Yes, Kyler.
Kyler raised his hand because he wants to offer something to the class. All right, so also do not use your sun symbol as an excuse for crappy behavior. This
Amen.
is a thing. This is a thing in the West. If you're gonna say word one about astrology, know a little something about astrology. Yes, your sun sign is important because that is your projected external ego, but just as important is your moon sign, your internal emotional environment, and then your ascendant and oh, I don't know, all the other planets and houses and their locations and your conjunctions and your sextiles and all that other fun stuff.
Right.
A natal chart, the sun sign is one aspect of a gazillion other things about you. And again, it is just a suggestion. I have had somebody literally explain away a complete and utter. You mentioned Gemini, and that actually triggered it, flipped
Yeah.
the switch in my
Mm-hmm.
brain. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so Gemini, the twins, tends to be a little scattered. It's an air sign. It can be all over the place. Some of the most intuitive people I've ever met were Geminis, and some of the most organized people I've ever met were Geminis. But this one individual who had some very untreated ADHD, and I mean we're talking like to the point where it affected their lives. They probably should have had treatment for it. Blamed being a Gemini on why they were always late, on why
Mm.
they kept losing things, on why they couldn't pay their bills on time, on why um literally explained to me once. I had to listen to an hour and 15 minutes of this. They forgot that they were dating somebody and made out with somebody else at a party. We have moved from astrology into excusery.
Yes.
And yes, your astrological, if you cannot use it in a court of law to defend a behavior, don't use it in a conversation because
Yes.
it seriously. Um, but no, that's the thing is like the sun in the West, sun sign astrology has become its own thing. And I personally blame Nancy Reagan.
I do
Um,
too.
yeah. And I blame the Reagans for a lot of things. All right. The
Yes.
Gipper had some problems, but Yeah, no, Nancy Reagan, massive astrologer. She had she was an astrologer herself. She had this like big guru master astrologer that she worked with and all that. And
Right.
everything that she did was based around this. But it really brought it into like the public eye. Like
Hmm.
you have like your natal chart, not your natal chart, you have your daily horoscope and all that.
Right.
People who read the daily horoscope and they're all like, well, this just doesn't make any sense. No, it doesn't, because it doesn't affect you in the same
Right.
way. Those are
Right.
just like universal transits. It's all super vague because it doesn't affect everyone the same way. Yeah, okay. So Jupiter is in retrograde, or as I like to say, when Mercury's in the microwave, and nothing works right.
Yep.
The
Right.
Where is yours? Is your what house is that going to affect? So yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I spend more time than I probably should at work talking about astrology and people asking me questions. I've done actual natal readings at a car dealership, not the place you
Yeah.
want to do any kind of divination. That's sticky energy.
Yep. So one of the other things that I want to point out about horary astrology, because it does have to do with geomancy, is that they only use the planets that can be easily seen with basic telescopes. So that's Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon. And they actually put the planets from heaviest, slowest to swiftest, fastest, which is the moon. That's why you have Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon. And the sun is considered a planet that, because horary astrology is earth centric, it believes that the earth is the center of things. And that has to do with how they viewed things in the Renaissance period. So if you really want to understand it, you need to have understanding of what Renaissance period their thinking was, and the ladder of being, which is a big part of that as well. But that's why the sun is in the middle, because it's earth centric, it's earth based. So those are things that I just like to point out, about geomancy, that it's important to understand if you're going to understand geomancy, because it has a lot to do with how you look at these things and how you put them into an astrological chart. So the only other thing I was going to say is there's another way to get your dots, and that has to do with a piece of paper and a pen. And you take the piece of paper and you just put dots in a cross, right? Or slash marks, I don't care. And then you go down and you do it again, and you go down and you do it again, and you go down and do it again. Then you add up the slash marks on each line. Even is two dots, odd is one dot, and then you have your figure. The reason I use dice is because I am musical, and I kept getting the same figure over and over, because I would start singing along. Da, 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 ah, da, 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 da. So Populus and Via and I were really close friends because I kept getting the same ones. They were either all even or all odd. It was really not good. So then I found geomantic dice, and that helps a lot. So I would highly recommend that. And if you want more information about geomancy, you can always hit me up. I'm happy to discuss geomancy at length, as I have just proven.
I love it when nerds have something that they hyper focus on, and it's like, here's this cool thing. This is my entire world, and then everybody else is like, wow, there's a lot going on here. And then hopefully, the hope is that in sharing our nerd joy, you recognize the glories of nerd joy and you absorb that, and it starts your own nerd joy. That's what happened
Right.
with Chris. He wasn't a nerd before he met me, and now he reads more than I do.
Yeah. I teach when I teach a geomancy class, I tell everybody when I start to teach them how to put the figures into the shield, which is the main part of geomancy. I always tell them it's going to be complicated, but the
Hmm.
people who like it are going to go after it with a vengeance, because it's one of those
Hmm.
things that if you try it and you look at the figures, it speaks to you. And I can't explain it
Hmm.
any other way. Geomancy spoke to me that day in
Hmm.
2008. I was like, I have to
Yeah.
have this in my life.
There is a thing, and I cannot believe that I have not mentioned it to you, but I don't think I ever have brought this up. I have a friend who's a maker. I had a friend who's a maker. I haven't talked to him in like 10 years, but um he practiced geomancy, and because he was a maker, he worked with wood, he did lapidary.
Mm.
The stylus is literally the stones. Like he actually shaped a
Oh,
stylus of the stones.
wow.
His geomancy box is a hand carved box, and it is gorgeous. Each side of the box has the animals associated with the elements carved into the side of the
Wow.
box. It is in this beautiful, dark, super hardwood. I'm not sure what it is, but he has different sand for different kinds of questions. Like he has a collection of
Wow.
sand from all over the world that he
Wow.
uses. And this is what happens. So, like, we throw out words like witch, magister, magician, sorcerer, all that. Sometimes you get the type A that can only be described as a magician or a wizard. Like
Yes.
that is this dude. And he when he makes something, it is so detail oriented. It leaves me breathless because by the time he finally gets it right and all the pieces lock into place, it is uh, absolutely perfect. He really, to me, carries the energy of those old alchemists. You know, like their
Mm,
study of the building blocks of things like grok. We've used the term grok.
yes.
When you understand something so completely, it changes you. That when he makes something, that's what he achieves.
Yep.
And oof, I wish that I had a picture of this geomancy setup for
Wow.
you to see. Gorgeous. One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
That's amazing. I
Yeah.
Tony is a maker too. He makes athames, y'all, just for the record.
Hmm.
And that sounds
Gorgeous
like
Athames.
Tony. Yeah, it sounds like Tony making an athame. It
Hmm.
is, it's a type A personality locked onto making it in a magical way. And when you're done, you
Hmm.
have a beautiful piece that is functional. And yeah, he's great.
Hmm.
He
And
does wonderful work.
and once my car is paid off, he gonna make me one.
Yep. That'll
Yep.
be awesome.
Hmm.
He'll love that.
Hmm.
He's been making axes recently. Telling you, oh my God, they're so good. They're so good. So,
I might have to buy one for my mom. She likes axes, which is a
well,
weird thing to say.
this one has a dragon on the head, on the axe head. And then he's wrapping it in black and tan leather. It,
Do you,
and he keeps looking
you
at it and going, this is not right. And this is not right. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is beautiful. What
you
is the matter with
you have to stop talking to me like this. I'm a married man, dear. I'm a
you?
married man. You can't turn my head. I love my husband.
Well, that's all I have about geomancy and Ogham today. Did you want to talk about anything else?
I don't think so today. Like, the world has been, well, it's on fire, but I mean, that's
Yeah.
not new news. Um, no, it's been surprisingly quiet and as quiet as my world ever gets. We'll put it that. We've got like a dozen different things going on at any given moment. But I did get a new nerd thing.
What did you get?
We got Gandalf's staff from the mines of Moria. It's
No.
it's got a light up crystal, dear.
Oh my God.
I
That's
I
so
did
awesome.
I did the thing. I got it, and the first thing I did was "You shall not
Of
pass." It was so.
course.
Oh my god! It was like,
What
oh,
else are you going to
and
do?
right, like you kind of have to. And then also, I didn't realize that it was probably the oldest thing still left on my bucket list, but I have had a nerd love relationship with Hadafang. That is Liv Tyler's sword from the Lord of the Rings. I had
Oh,
never
yeah.
seen a sword that looked just like it. It was the first time I saw where they went with like the S-shaped like kind
Yes.
of soft scimitar look. I've wanted a master replica of this since literally 2001, like when
Wow.
Fellowship first came out. I
Right.
ordered it.
Oh,
I ordered it. It's going to be here on Friday. And so just to prove how much of a nerd I am, I have it's about so big. I have a lamp the base is stone, and then the lamp itself is a giant ring, and it glows with the writing of the One Ring. And I'm gonna put Hatafang right in front of it, and it's gonna be my little Hatafang shrine. And woe betide anybody who touches that sword, because I'll lose my mind.
That's awesome. My only nerd thing
Yeah.
is that I've decided to make my character in LARP a new outfit,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna make it up. Like, I don't, I sew, but usually just by a pattern. This is the first time I went, can do that.
Hey, that's how you stretch. That's how you get better at things. Like you showed me the picture of that. That actually reminds me. Do you know Steven Universe?
Yes.
Okay, so Rose Quartz, the overall shape of her dress is very similar to what you're looking to make. And I made that for a mutual friend of ours years ago for something. It was one of the many bazillion rituals that we had done. And I've
Right.
quite forgotten what it was for, but I actually wound up doing that. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun. And by a lot of fun, I mean, you may tug on your hair a little bit, because all those different layers, but it's going to be a ton of fun. Like I
Yep.
really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Well, I've cheated and bought the top. I bought a corset top
Mm-hmm.
to applique on the leaves on the top.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's cheating a little bit, but I wasn't brave enough to try to do a corset top by myself, never having done one of those. So,
They are so much fun. You have to make a
oh,
corset at some point. Like, oh,
I it
it's
scares me.
mind-numbing. It should. It's an awful experience, but it's lovely at the same time. Like I've done a couple corsets. I really enjoy making them. Like that's when my type A comes out. Like this, when I did my first corset top, it was so much more of a project than I ever thought it would be. And it was past my skill level, but that's how you grow your skill level. You
Right.
rise to meet the challenge. And so now Chris desperately wants a men's corset vest out of like that
Oh,
like
those are so
brocade
gray.
silk.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he saw somebody on Instagram, like Innovo Corsetry or something like that.
Yeah.
Their designs were absolutely gorgeous, and he wants one. And so I'm still looking for the perfect material to make it out of,
Right.
because I want to get that right. But yeah, no, you should make one at
Yeah.
least once, and it'll probably blow up in your face, but you'll learn so much from that failure that you can go on and succeed the next time.
Yeah, it scares me. Corsets scare me in
Mhm.
general. Anything that's close fitting to the body scares me. So I cheated and I just bought a cheap corset top that I'm hoping at least fits. And then I'm just going to applique the stuff on it. And I'm also going to buy some cheap, what do they call the things on the top of the shoulder? Peplums? I think they call them peplums.
Peblums? Peblums.
Peplums?
I
Like
don't
right
know that I've
here?
ever heard this word.
This is the part of an
Pauldron?
armor. Pauldron.
Paul
That's it.
pauldrons. Yeah.
Pauldron. I'm gonna buy some cheap pauldrons and glue
Hmm.
uh snowberries all over the pauldron
Oh, very nice.
so that they'll be up here. And
Hmm.
so it'll have that. And then yeah. But for LARP, I'm not if I made a corset top, I would want it to be for something like
Right. Right.
more than just to take out to LARP and tear up, you know.
Right. I mean, true. That is very true. But I have to respect corsets. Anything that has the black magic power of giving me an actual waist. That
Yes,
that is a power that should be respected.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
What's your resiliency corner today, or do you need a minute to think of one?
No, I have one. Especially since we've talked about making today. Um, there is within all of us the ability to create. We're shapers. Humans are shapers, we're makers. We have these lovely opposable thumbs. Um, make something. Doesn't matter if you sit down and you doodle a picture. Doesn't matter if you love it. Doesn't matter if your cat looks like a giraffe. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're baking brownies.
Yep.
Make something, because every time you make something, you add to this world that we're in. And if you make it with intention and you make it with love and you make it with hope, you're adding those things. You're putting those things into this thing that you're making. And
Yep.
every act of that is an act of love, of defiance, of magic, of celebration of your own humanity. Remember
Mhm.
that, and always remember, you have, for all the sadness and frustration and anxieties we may have, you also have that inside of you. It's the other side of that coin.
Yep.
That's my
My
resiliency
re-
corner.
my resiliency corner is to look up Ogham and Geomancy and just sit for a moment with these figures and see if either one speaks to you. And if they do, then go out and look up Digital Ambler and read what the
Mm-hmm.
different figures mean in geomancy, or pick up Weaving Wise Words by Lori and read on the Ogham. But expand your knowledge base, because when you expand your knowledge base, you expand your mind, you make your mind more elastic and more able to absorb new information and new ideas. And that's my resiliency corner. I always end with have a magical day.
Hail and farewell.
Hail and farewell.
Thank you for listening to Urban Unwitches. Please reach co-host Kyler Petrie and Rev Dia at urbanunwitches@gmail.com. That's urbanunwitches@gmail.com to suggest topics for shows or comment on past episodes. Please join our Discord channel, Urban Unwitches Podcast. Follow us on TikTok at Urban Unwitches. Follow us on YouTube at Urban Unwitches to watch all episodes. And listen to all our past podcasts on your favorite podcasting platform. Rev Dia is a witch for hire as an officiant, life coach, astrologer, geomancer, and medium, and can be reached at www.revdia.net. See you next time. Thank you for joining us on the Circle Podcast, presented by Circle Sanctuary, and produced for all who follow nature-centered paths. Join us throughout the week for various programming connecting with the community around the world. Please don't forget to watch for updates on the Circle Sanctuary website at www.circlesanctuary.org. Follow us on Facebook at Facebook.com/Circle Podcasts. We can also be found on your favorite podcast hosting sites, such as iTunes, Spotify, and others. Until next time, many blessings.